Alrighty, welcome everybody. Welcome to the special episode of Brownsville Tech Live. And this afternoon, it is the launch of Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10. And just like for the 9 previous launches, we are bringing you the launch live from Starbase. So once again, we are here covering Starship's launch today, which is scheduled in 1 hour. According to our launch countdown clock, it is 1 hour, 1 minute, and 23 seconds before the launch of Starship. So, we welcome everybody that is tuned in, and we're going to begin shortly here before the SpaceX live feed turns on. We're just going to give a little bit of a recap of what to expect for today's launch. And of course, as we've mentioned, it is integrated flight test number 10. It is coming to you live from Starbase, Texas. And you can watch this broadcast across our mobile apps at brownsvilletechlive.com and 956live.com as well. What is the hardware that is involved in today's test launch? It is the 10th integrated flight test of a prototype Starship launch vehicle. The prototype vehicles planned to be launched today is Starship 37, which is the upper stage, followed by Super Heavy Booster 16. It is going to be the fourth and the last Block 2 ship used. In the future, they are going to be using a future version of Starship, which will not be Block 2 based, and it will definitely not be Block 1 based. And the milestones for today's launch is basically a successful launch from the launch pad and a water landing. Yes, you heard me, a water landing. It is not a landing on the launch pad today. So the criteria is a successful launch and a water landing of the booster in the Gulf of Mexico and of Starship in the Indian Ocean. There will be some tests that will be performed while Starship is in orbit. Those include the dispensing of 8 dummy Starlink satellites via the Candy Pez dispenser and an ignition of a Raptor engine in space. And for those of you wondering what a Block 2 ship is versus a Block 1, basically a Block 2 ship was increased by height by 1.8 meters. That's about an actual ring taller than the Block 1 ship. It uses Raptor 3 engines. The previous Block ship used Raptor 2s. It is also capable of carrying up to 100 tons in low Earth orbit, and it's got a shorter payload bay, 3 rings instead of 5. It's got new forward flaps. It's got a new heat shield layout with up to 18,000 new tiles. And as we've mentioned before, it has got a Pez dispenser, of which they are going to launch 8 fake Starlink satellites today. And basically, this is the Starship IFT-10 infographic, which contains information regarding the IFT-10 versus version 2 and the Super Heavy. And let's move forward here. Basically, This is another infographic which shows the components of the rocket that's going to be launched today. As we mentioned, it's a Starship 37 upper stage, which is this section right here, and booster 16. And as we mentioned, one of the tests today is to release 8 satellites, 8 Starlink satellites. They're fake satellites through the Pez candy dispenser door. And we call it the Pez candy dispenser because that is the term that Elon has used to describe the mechanism. It actually looks like a Pez candy dispenser, and it acts like a Pez candy dispenser. Bets Nichols, welcome. And of course, one of the stars of the show today is Mechazilla. There are 2 launch pads currently at Starbase. They are Launch Pad A and Launch Pad B, and both contain 2 mechanical arms that are named chopsticks. Elon termed the contraption Mechazilla. And unlike previous attempts, we will not be catching the booster on the launch pad. As a result of that, there will be no to very minimal sonic booms. So you shouldn't expect any sonic booms today because we are dealing with a water lander. And for those of you that are interested in sonic booms, there's actually 3 types. There's a subsonic boom, there's a Mach 1 boom, and a supersonic speed sonic boom. But we shouldn't experience any of those today since we are dealing with a water landing in the Gulf, far away from the shore. And looking back, historically speaking, one can only see what 8 years has done to the area. Back in July of 2018, there was absolutely nothing down where Starbase exists today. 8 years later, it is an entire city. In fact, it is a city. It is a city. It was incorporated into a city this past May. But there's a lot going on down there. There's mega bays, there's production facilities, there's residential areas, there's even plans for retail development as well. It is a completely different world from what it looked like, as you all can see, in 2018. And what does that mean? What does that mean for the area? Well, first of all, SpaceX currently employs over 2,500 employees here at Starbase. Starship is currently manufactured here at Boca Chica at Starbase, east of Brownsville. They just completed a Star Factory. It is a 1 million square foot facility, and it has been labeled the Factory of the Future. SpaceX also completed the construction of a 5-story parking garage, and that will accompany Star Factory, and that will provide additional parking. For those of us that have been at Starbase many times, we know that parking is a premium, and that 5-story parking garage will bring relief for the parking situation. They also completed the construction of a secondary launch tower as well. And they continue to make investments to provide housing, educational, retail, and restaurants in or near or around Starbase. It is a huge, huge investment that SpaceX continues to make down at Starbase. And of course, there is more to come. Just recently, they have started to tear down the original megabase in lieu of constructing a gigabay. That will give SpaceX additional manufacturing capacity to construct additional Starships, and they will also upgrade both launch towers 1 and 2 to allow for multiple launches. There's been additional fuel tanks originally for the Cape that have come over and have been installed, and they just started development of the Rio West Commercial Development Project, which will provide residential and commercial and retail spaces for Starbase residents and employees. And there's a picture of Rio West and what it will look like in the end. And for those of you wondering, they do have a launch license. Not only do they have a launch license for today, they have a launch license for 24 rocket launches per year. So it's perfectly legal, and they've got the authority to launch a rocket every single month until they reach 25 total launches per year. And of course, for those of you wondering, there are beach closures. By now, you should not be able to get to Boca Chica because the closure time started at 11 a.m. today, and it will end at 10 p.m. tonight. So if you didn't make it, you're not going to make it. If you're already there, you're not going to get out before 10. So there are beach closures. And of course, along with beach closures, there are marine and boater safety advisories. For those of you out on a boat, please stay away from the green area. You're going to delay the rocket launch, or you're going to get arrested. Either way, you need to be out of the green areas during and after the launch. And the weather. There was a 45% chance today that Starship would not launch. It was based on the fact that it was going to rain. There was a probability of 90% precipitation. The temperature is around 90 degrees, but it really feels like 100, right? And if you're under a tree or under a carport, it's going to feel it like 96. The winds are going to be blowing at 8 miles per hour, and the gusts may be up to 20 miles per hour. The humidity is 73%, and the dew point is 77 degrees. So there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to rain. There's 97% cloud cover, but the visibility is about 8 miles. So that's good news. And of course, what is the flight plan? There is a flight plan. And this is part of the flight plan, but at the same time, there is an infographic that shows you in detail the flight plan. And while this represented a previous integrated flight test, it pretty much follows the same mechanism. Starship will launch from Launch Pad A. It will eventually reach max Q, which is the maximum amount of pressure exerted by the rocket while in flight. It will eventually perform a hot stage separation where booster and Starship will separate. The booster will then fall back down and attempt to land in the Gulf of Mexico, while Starship continues to its suborbit, where it will test the dispensing of those 8 Starlink satellites, and it will perform a Raptor in-burn while in space. It will begin the re-entry process, and it will eventually land in the Indian Ocean, or that's the hope. But that's basically what we are going to expect for today's launch. Once again, we're going to flip over to our live feed and wait for it to start. It should start in about 7 minutes, the SpaceX live feed. So stay tuned for that. And let's all hope for a successful launch. Once again, thank you all for watching Brownsville Tech Live. We are South Texas's leading podcast, broadcasting over 12 social media platforms. And please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Brownsville Tech Live on YouTube. Become a subscriber to get all the notifications with regards to SpaceX, Starbase, and everything that's happening here locally. And don't forget to be a follower on Brownsville Tech Live and 956live.com on Facebook. So everyone, don't forget to be a subscriber. Don't forget to be a follower. And let's have a good launch today. We have an update. The live feed will start at 6:13 p.m. Once again, the live feed will start at 6:13 p.m. So hang in there, everybody. Once again, the live feed will start at 6:13 p.m. And for those of you out there who are watching the channel, you can also comment. The comment lines are open. We are broadcasting across Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and X today. And we will follow with a pre-recorded version of this show on the rest of the social media platforms. And for those of you wanting to watch the launch, you can simply go to our mobile apps at brownsvilletechlive.com and 956live.com. That will take you directly to this live feed. Once again, for those of you watching, you are watching live coverage of Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10 from Starbase. And we are bringing this to you live on Brownsville Tech Live and 956live.com. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel on Brownsville Tech Live and become a follower on Brownsville Tech Live and 956 Live Facebook pages. So be sure to go out there and click the like, the subscribe, or the follow button. Feel free to comment as well. Once again, you are watching live coverage of Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10 from Starbase here at Boca Chica, 27 miles from Brownsville, Texas. Stay tuned. For those of you that are just tuning in, our launch countdown clock indicates that there are 38 minutes before the launching of Starship IFT-10 from Starbase here at Boca Chica. Once again, it is 38 minutes till the launching of Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10, which consists of Ship 37 and Booster 16 from Launchpad A. For those of you that are just watching, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Brownsville Tech Live, and become a follower on our Facebook pages for Brownsville Tech Live and 956live.com. When you do that, you'll get notifications with regards to everything that is happening at Starbase on a daily basis. We are the only podcast here in South Texas that is local and that covers SpaceX 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, locally here. So by subscribing and following, you'll get the latest updates, and you can also visit our mobile apps at brownsvilletechlive.com and 956live.com. So be sure to visit those pages, follow, subscribe, and you'll get all the latest with regards to SpaceX, Starship, and everything that's happening at Boca Chica. For those of you that are just tuning in, you are watching a live feed from Starbase. We are covering Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10, consisting of Ship 37 and Booster 16. Today's launch will be SpaceX's 10th attempt to launch Starship successfully, and for today's launch, they're going to attempt a deployment of 8 Starlink satellites via the PEZ dispenser, and they will attempt to land Booster 16 in the Gulf of Mexico. What that means is that we should have no or minimal sonic booms. It just depends how far the landing occurs from the ocean to the shore. So we may or may not experience some of the sonic booms that we've seen in the past with the boosters landing on the launch pad. So for those of you expecting a booster landing on the launch pad, that's not going to happen tonight. It will land in the Gulf of Mexico, or for those of you that prefer, the Gulf of America. But once again, this is going to be a water landing of Booster 16 and a water landing in the Indian Ocean of Ship 37. There have been numerous upgrades that have been done to both ship and booster since the last flight tests that failed. So based on that, the hope is that there is a successful launch from the launch pad, as well as successful water landings in the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the Indian Ocean. So once again, for those of you watching, you are watching live coverage of Starbase, and you are seeing Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Brownsville Tech Live, and become a follower on our Facebook pages for Brownsville Tech Live and 956live.com. We have just received an unconfirmed report. Once again, it's an unconfirmed report that the launch is now going to occur at 6:50 p.m., not at 6:30. Once again, this is an unconfirmed report that the actual launch will occur at 6:50 instead of 6:30. That's a 20-minute delay. Additionally, our live feed to Starbase will start at approximately 6:13, just in about 17 minutes from now. We also have received unconfirmed reports that prop load has begun on Starship as well. So once again, for those of you that are tuning in and are waiting, the launch is now been delayed to 6:50 p.m. and prop loading has begun. Stay tuned. The SpaceX live feed will start in about 15 minutes. Once again, for those of you watching and that have tuned in, we have received unconfirmed reports that prop loading has begun on Starship on the launch pad, but the launch has been delayed to 6:50 instead of 6:30. That's a 20-minute delay. So for those of you hoping to see something at 6:30, hang on tight because it's actually going to be 6:50 at this point. And the launch window actually closes at 7:30 p.m. as well. So there is a very short window of opportunity to launch Starship tonight. So if it doesn't happen by 7:30, it's not going to happen. So for those of you out there, the launch is now scheduled to happen at 6:50 p.m. instead of 6:30 p.m. Prop loading has started. So once again, for those of you tuning in, the launch will now occur at 6:50 instead of 6:30. Our launch countdown clock still refers to a 6:30 launch, but you need to add 20 minutes to that. So instead of 26 minutes remaining until launch time, it is actually 46 minutes remaining to launch time. We will try to update that launch down clock, but currently that clock is referring to a 6:30 launch, not a 6:50 launch. So there's exactly 45 minutes remaining before the launch of Starship at 6:50. Alrighty, everybody. We have updated our launch countdown clock. It is now 43 minutes before the launching of Starship Integrated Flight Test 10 at 6:50 p.m. So once again, for those of you expecting a launch at 6:30, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen at 6:50 exactly. So we have updated our launch down clock to reflect the change with regards to the launch. So once again, it's 43 minutes till the launch of Starship. Be sure to subscribe to Brownsville Tech Live on YouTube to get the latest notifications locally with regards to SpaceX and Starbase happenings. We are the only local podcast that covers SpaceX and Starbase 24/7, 364 days out of the year. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, become a follower on our Facebook pages on Brownsville Tech Live and Brownsville and 956live.com. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Brownsville Tech Live, and become a follower on our Facebook pages for Brownsville Tech Live and 956live.com. For those of you that are just tuning in, you are watching a special edition of Brownsville Tech Live, and we are covering Starship Integrated Flight Test number 10 directly from Starbase here at Boca Chica. And as our launch countdown indicates, there are 39 minutes left before launch time. The launch has been delayed by 20 minutes. Originally, it was supposed to launch at 6:30 p.m., but now the launch is scheduled for 6:50 p.m. tonight. So for those of you expecting a launch at 6:30, it's not going to happen. So you guys need to wait 20 more minutes patiently for that launch to occur. And for my friends down at SPI, sit tight. It's about to happen soon. For those of you just joining us, you are watching a live feed from Starbase for Integrated Flight Test number 10. And the launch is currently scheduled to happen in 37 minutes. The flight has been delayed by 20 minutes. Originally scheduled for 6:30, it is now scheduled for 6:50 p.m. tonight. So stay tuned, everybody. It's going to happen hopefully soon. For those of you watching, there has been another delay. The actual live feed does not start now till 7 p.m. That is about 45 minutes before it originally was supposed to start at 6:13. The launch was actually scheduled for 6:50. So it appears now that there's an additional delay with regards to Starship. The live feed will start at 7 p.m. This means that more than likely the launch has now shifted between 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. So everybody stay tuned, and we will bring you further updates as we learn additional details. We are getting unconfirmed reports that the launch has been scrubbed. Once again, we are receiving unconfirmed reports that the launch has been scrubbed. We will continue to follow this leading development, but once again, we are getting unconfirmed reports that the launch has been scrubbed for tonight. We will keep you posted. Once again, folks, we have received some unconfirmed reports that there may be a launch scrub, but let's keep in mind that there continues to be a 7:30 window. So they have up until 7:30 to launch Starship. So once again, everybody hang in there. We are trying to get additional updates from Starbase with regards to whether there'll be a launch or not. But once again, the launch window goes all the way to 7:30 p.m. tonight. Hang in there, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Once again, for those of you that are still watching, we are receiving unconfirmed reports that the launch has been scrubbed. And we are just waiting to get confirmation from Starbase whether the launch has been scrubbed or not. It was originally supposed to be happening at 6:30. Then it got delayed by 20 minutes, so it was scheduled at 6:50. Then the live feed was supposed to start at 6:13, but then that got moved to 7 p.m. So if the live feed cameras weren't going to turn on until 7 p.m., that only left a 30-minute window until 7:30 to launch Starship. So at this moment, I am still awaiting confirmation that the launch has been scrubbed. But right now, there is no confirmation. We do know that the live feed has been turned off, which may indicate the launch has been scrubbed. Once again, we are still waiting confirmation of a launch or no launch for today. So hang in there, everybody. We're still waiting. Good evening, everybody. We have received confirmations that the launch has been scrubbed for tonight. So for those of you that are still watching, it has been scrubbed. So we do not know all the issues that they were experiencing, but obviously they felt that there was too much risk and therefore they scrubbed the launch. So once again, the launch appears to be scrubbed, and we will go ahead and conclude this show for tonight, and we will be back on whenever the next launch opportunity exists. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Good night, everybody.